guys, so let's go back to this beautiful magic subject of the body types. We're gonna look at sexy glam, but classy and modern. Normally we get inspo from 20s to the 70s. Those decades have very defined style aesthetics, and each one has its own style. We have roaring 20s with its flapper girls. We have more dramatic 30s. Then we can go to 40s minimalism. We can then go to 50s sexy feminine glam. Then we can go to the 60s crazy and geometric glam. Then we can go to the 70s natural hippie glam. All that can be measured from a glamorous viewpoint. Maybe the 80s too, but 80s already has too much of everything. It's not as defined anymore as it was before. We can see actually inspirations for each type from each of those decades. When we talk about dramatic, we can be inspired by Art Deco era. We can first be inspired by 20s flapper girls too, and we can remember probably The Great Gatsby. Elizabeth Debicki, she's pretty tall, and this is her height, and she's a dramatic by kibbe. And we can see those thin bones, narrow vertical line, pretty sharp bones, sharp shoulders, sharp and prominent facial features. All that looks amazing in this Art Deco style. Elongated lines, sharp lines, clean and precise hair, sleek lines, long elongated draping, long vertical line head to toe, narrow dresses. All that looks amazing with Art Deco era. So here's Keira Knightley. She is dramatic by kibbe. She also was sometimes trying to play with this kind of a glamour. So in the 20s we do have that geometry in hair, whether it's curly hair or we have that sharp bob. Sometimes it's sharpened in the middle of the cheek, and normally dramatics look great with this, even with a short fringe or slightly more elongated and geometric fringe. Sometimes also asymmetry looks great on them. Asymmetrical parting looks great. Now, clean makeup, thin makeup, contrasted makeup, just to support that strong bone structure that they have on their faces. Now, they can also be inspired by the 30s. In the 30s, we have a dramatic Katharine Hepburn. So you can check her looks and how great she looks in those, again, vertical line, long vertical line, sharper shoulders, and that very precise makeup that is accentuating her cheekbones, strong lips, and very thin liner, long lashes, thin brows. And the 40s, of course, they can be very much inspired by the 40s, old Hollywood glam. 40s was a little bit more minimalistic probably because it was wartime, but they still can go for sharp shoulders, elongated lines, some sparkles, sleek and clean, precise hairstyles, hair colors, uniform hair color, whether it's your own hair color that you didn't touch or it's darkened or it's lightened. They don't look as good with too natural slight highlights that sometimes can wash out the shadows on their faces that are normally very strong and look amazing. Not recommending doing something too blended, too blurry, too unsupportive in terms of color contrast if you need that. Of course, there are some dramatics that are just light in coloration, like Elizabeth Debicki again, but then she works in harmony with her colors. So you can work in harmony with your colors as well. Just make sure that you don't wash yourself out. So for dramatics, that's really important to go for that clean look because that gives them that expensive aesthetic. Every time they go for something whether too girly and for something small, color blocks, small ruffles, little details, small noisy different things, loads of mishmash of colors, that can make them look a little bit too angular and too long, too elongated arms, too elongated legs as a contrast. And on contrary, if they go for big, oversized, wide, slight highlights in the hair in case the coloration is dark, slight washed out colors just in general, watercolor blends, all that can cheapen their look. Or if they go on contrary for too unshaped, bulky, oversized, wide, too natural, too washed out in terms of colors, that can also make them very dull. Soft dramatics, big, ornate, and curvy. These ladies can't overdo the glam. We can get inspo for them from the 30s. First of all, Marlene Dietrich, she was soft dramatic. So we can see strong shoulders, big drapes, long vertical line. They look amazing with some waist emphasis. If no waist emphasis, then probably a bit better if it's a little bit narrower here. Otherwise, if it's too bulky, too huge in that area, that can make them look too heavy. because they have softness, they have curves, they have figure. So it's best when they have a little bit something here on the waist, slightly to show. If we talk about the shapes, probably 70s, bigger sleeves, puffy sleeves, drapes here at the chest area, drapes for the skirt. Also bigger volumes on the hair. Think about Sophia Loren, amazing. Also Sophia Loren in the 60s, even though 60s kind of associate with that small geometry for Twiggy and stuff, but then we also have Sophia Loren. She was the star in the 60s in the movies, so she adapted actually style to her body. And she's heavy, she is curvy, she is soft, and she is tall and angular slightly in the shoulders, and just in general her bone structure is pretty sharp and elongated. So she adapted that style to her, and that looked amazing. Probably this is the only type that looks actually great with bigger volumes, bigger and rounder volumes. And also tidy. Their look should be tidy. The outlines are best when they're tidy, and big ornateness looks amazing on them. Big ornate earrings, big ornate necklaces, different sparkles, expensive jewelry, sophisticated makeup that is done very well, big liner, elongated cat eyes, almond-shaped eyes, long lashes, elongated lashes, well-defined brows, lips, shimmer on the cheekbones. All that looks beautiful on them. They can also go for straight hair, they can also go for longer hair, that also can be fine. Just the best thing is when it's a bit more polished, on a polished side. They won't look as good in probably small color blocks, small ruffles, small everything like little girlish, because they're gonna look just too heavy in comparison with those tiny shapes. On the other side, everything that is too stiff, too straight, too geometric, they need to accentuate their curves, otherwise their body gonna look like a box underneath their head. It just doesn't look as good on them. Romantics. If we talk about romantics, we think about Marilyn Monroe, Elizabeth Taylor, yeah? Smaller ladies with smaller limbs, softer flesh. They have some figure, soft neckline, soft shoulder line, soft face, small and rounded facial bones, rounded cheeks. These ladies look actually pretty glamorous already. So these ladies are created for this classic glam. If we talk about the 50s glam. 50s glam and Marilyn Monroe. Of course, waist emphasis, beautiful, all those kinds of drapes. Long dresses or short dresses also would look great on them. Some ornateness would look amazing on them. Maybe just not too stiff. If they go for too squarish, again, they're gonna look like a square box underneath their head. If they go for too bulky and oversized, again, that's gonna make them look heavy and too wide and too short. It actually can make them look shorter than they are, just because the width will compensate for their visual height. So we also don't want that. If they're gonna wear something too sharp and too stiff and exact, especially with no waist emphasis, just straight, then it's gonna be too angular for them. They're so soft that as a contrast they will look like stiff plastic box. And if we talk about that beautiful 50s glam, of course, longer lashes, that classic glamorous makeup, beautiful lush lips. Think about Marilyn Monroe makeup, or think about smoky eye makeup, also would look amazing, something sophisticated. Their hair also best if they're on a softer side, nothing too harsh or geometric. Geometry is sometimes cutting their soft line and is too sharp for the eyes sometimes. Theatrical romantics, they are slightly more delicate than romantics. They're also smallish, they have sharper bones. For them, again, small ornateness is perfect. If they go too glamorous, that's perfect, because that glamour thing looks amazingly glamorous on them particularly. Those are the bodies they have. So small ornateness, jewelry, beautiful, very well done makeup. Nothing to wash them out, nothing to dull their sharp bone structure. We don't want that. Especially if their coloration is on the darker side, we want to support it with right colors and with right silhouettes. They can have some sharper shoulders here on their dress. They need to have waist emphasis again for their best look. Their hair is best when it's more tidy, curly or not curly, it just depends what you like to wear more. But long hair look amazing on them. Shorter hair as well, but if it's not giving you that too geometric vibe. Sometimes with geometry they can also look great, but you just gotta see what kind of style they have and what they go for. but normally the best thing for them is tidy and pretty soft hair. Maybe it's curls or waves or straight hair, but nothing too tousled or overly softened. You know, everything that is overly softened, even if we talk about silhouettes on their dresses, if it's too relaxed, no waist emphasis, too huge, too big, that can make them look shorter, untidy, and sometimes tired even. Especially if they wash out their makeup, washed out hair color as well, something that is too soft for them. Classic, soft classic, and dramatic classic. I'm gonna talk about 3 of them together. For specifics, anyway, I will make a separate video about each type particularly. We're gonna go into very small details for each type. For now, I'm gonna just draw a more general picture for you. Let's look at 3 beautiful examples. Grace Kelly, Jacqueline Kennedy, Catherine Deneuve. We can see great example of American fashion and French fashion. First of all, we can see amazing example of the classic style. Here we can be inspired by the 50s and the 40s and a little bit of the 60s too, because Jacqueline Kennedy, she could actually incorporate that geometry of the 60s into her classic look. So these ladies, they liked not very noisy silhouettes, not too clingy, not too narrow and overly sexy, but at the same time not too wide and relaxed. Classic is the best word to describe this. Nothing too noisy in the patterns, sometimes very regular, clean colors, clean silhouettes, very well-made garments, very well-shaped dresses. Slight waist emphasis looks great. For dramatic classics, sometimes can be even with no waist emphasis, but preferably if it's not too wide looking, but a bit narrower looking. They can go for longer dresses or shorter dresses. Their hair is best when it's not overly huge and big tousle, but maybe slightly smaller. Sometimes they look great with sleek hair as well. Central parting for them sometimes looks amazing. You can always do side parting as well. They look great with shorter hair, with bobs, with longer hair as well, as long as it's not very tousled and too natural looking. They don't look good with some noisy hair colors, stripes, and something too futuristic, too colorful. They look great with soft, darker or lighter, but soft and natural hair colors without too much stripes, without too much contrast. Not too much makeup as well, and not too bright colors on the makeup. Very classic makeup, again, inspired by the 50s, probably by the 40s, by Grace Kelly, and this is the makeup that we actually wear right now. They won't look as good with too much of everything. First of all, if they go for too natural looks, sometimes it can look slightly untidy on them. They might look untidy. Make their shape a little bit closer to their body in order to make it a little bit more tidy looking for them. And also in terms of shapes, everything too big or too small shapes can look a bit fuzzy on them, a bit noisy, like the woman is trying to be like a little girl. Too big shapes can, on contrary, be too much for them. They look best in modest things, in things that holding back a little bit. Natural, soft natural, and flamboyant natural. I'm also going to talk about all of them right now. Probably for the inspiration, I would pick 50s and 70s and maybe even combine them together a little bit. Because in the 70s, we have more natural and relaxed shapes that can be some drapes, something not as close to the body, not bodycon, not very clingy again, not very tiny, small, and not very sleek on the body and on the hair, but on contrary, we need some freedom for these ladies. For flamboyant natural, they can go even for bigger shapes. If they feel like they want to go for bigger shapes for their hair, for bigger shape for their dress, they can go for that too. It just depends on your height and how big you consider yourself to be, how big you feel you are, and then you can express that largeness of your bones in largeness of your silhouette. They sometimes can go without waist emphasis, and flamboyant naturals can actually go without waist emphasis and with wider silhouette just in general. Something oversized can actually look very glamorous on them if that is combined, for example, with some sparkles, or just the dress itself looks more glamorous with some additions. Makeup is best when it's more blended and not over the top, especially for the girls who have more natural, more dull coloration, more light coloration. For them, the makeup is best when it's more natural, using more natural colors and more blended, maybe like that beautiful smoky eye, rosy cheeks, rosy lips, some sun-kissed effects on their face. That clean girl makeup might look amazing. It just depends on also on your coloration. If you are very bright on coloration, you have very prominent and sharp and large facial bones, sometimes probably you need to add a little bit more color blending around your eyes, so just to support your contrast of your look. Otherwise, it can slightly wash you out. And some ladies also look better with more matte finish rather than too shiny everything else. But this thing you check for yourself. For the hair, it's best when it's not overly sleek and not overly perfectly geometric. Something undone has to be there, something tousled. If a woman is going for head to toe full glam, if she's going for a more sleek dress, that also is amazing. She can go for that. But then she can make her hair slightly more relaxed. That already will do the trick. Different things here and there to relax. That's gonna look great. Sometimes, especially flamboyant naturals, sometimes what can happen is when they're wearing too sleek dresses, especially with small stripes here on top and too lightweight here on top, they might feel like their shoulders look very wide and their ribcage just in general looks very wide. What they can do for that is pick up the dress that has a little bit more here, where their bigger stripes just wider like this. Or sometimes there are dresses where the fabric just goes around the shoulder and just hanging in there very beautifully with some drapes in here, you know, something that is covering this area. They might not look as good in something, again, very childish, too many color blocks and too geometric and too sharp and too sleek, and that can actually go against their blunt bone structure because they're slightly wide normally in the bones. And that can look actually as a contrast, it can actually accentuate that to such a degree that you will feel like you're more angular than you are. And that's basically it. And again, as I said before, if they go for a full glam and very, 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 very sleek glam, like Kim Kardashian likes to go for a full glam, then if they add something undone, for example, some parts of their hair that is hanging in front, like two wavy things here, slightly undone hair bun on the back, something relaxed, then it's gonna correct the whole outfit. Because we are here talking more about the combination of things rather than everything has to be head to toe, this, and this element. No, you're just building your outfit based just from the idea that one or two things can be slightly more relaxed and then you're good to go. And also my viewpoint, everybody looks great with well done 50s glam makeup. If your skin is okay, correctly done eyeliner is also very important, not to drop your eyes down here. The rest is gonna be perfect for you. Well done brows and nothing else can be added. Any woman will look great with this. Gamine, flamboyant gamine, and soft gamine. I'm also going to talk about all of them all together. The best inspiration I would say would be 20s and 60s, and combination of those two also. If we go for 20s, not literally that flapper girl effect, that can look slightly clownish unless you go for the theme party. Special party for that. Just get some inspiration from that. For example, shorter dress or narrower dress. In general, gamines, soft gamines, and flamboyant gamines, many of them are tiny, not all of them. Sometimes some flamboyant gamines, for example, they can look actually pretty average in height, like Audrey Hepburn. So proportionately for her, she could actually wear longer dresses and she would look fine. Some gamines, soft gamines or flamboyant gamines, they have that kind of proportions in their bodies, so every time they go for something elongated, even if it's narrow, that just drags them down too much. They look strange. So something lifted up a little bit, at least showing their ankles, or shorter to the knee area, and then whoever is brave and you do whatever you like. You can go for sparkles, you can go for stripes, and you can have actually very interesting combinations. Glam and not glam. For example, glam but in zebra colors. I don't know, ethnical pattern but made in sparkles. Because it's a combination of opposites. Gamines are a combination of yin and yang. Yeah, it's a combination of opposites, so they look great when they combine those uncombined things together. They, of course, look better in narrower silhouettes rather than something oversized. If gamines go for huge skirt, actually you can watch this video about dresses and skirts for all the body types. I'm gonna leave the links down below. There you can more understand about the silhouette of the dress you're going for or about the skirt that you're going for. I'm being more specific there about the shape. But here we talk about the overall outfit and the vibe, yeah? So if one of the gamines, if they're wearing like that huge skirt, sometimes they can look like a Disney princess. Sometimes it looks cool, sometimes it looks like slightly inappropriate or funny. Sometimes you just check yourself how you look in that. So the best thing still would be like a mermaid shape or tulip shape, and also higher colors look amazing on them if you're going for a long dress, which is important. When gamines go for a long dress and then they have very long cleavage here, especially if they don't have very high heels and they're tiny and petite, that can slightly look disproportionate. They look too short and this dress just dragging them down. So just to spread the proportion on their body evenly, we are going for slightly higher colors like this, or even high color like this. So that looks great on them. They can go for very interesting and intricate details, contrasted details. Contrasted trim looks amazing on them. So they would not look dull, or they would not look like little girl in mama's clothes. So for them, it's important to add some vivid details. It adds life to them, especially if they have brighter coloration. It's very important for them actually to support that coloration. In terms of makeup, again, as I said, 50s makeup looks amazing on everyone. They can go a little bit for 60s vibe too. Paler lips, bigger eyes with more clumpy lashes that can look amazing on them. And sometimes even if they go for full glam, full traditional glam, they can actually add some details in there that will break that full glam and that will look cool. For example, some of them might have just a bob. Straight bob normally would cut that traditional glam a little bit and twist it a little bit to a right direction. Or if they have regular hair, that's fine. They can have sleek hair, and if they like to wear it like this, to dress it like this, it's amazing. But they can add, again, as I said, clumpy lashes, bigger eyes, very bright makeup, or very bright smoky eye makeup. Yeah, very interesting details here. Interesting jewelry. They can have bigger rings, bigger jewelry, bigger beads. Waist emphasis would be good for soft gamines. Flamboyant gamines, not necessary. Sometimes, but I don't recommend maybe go too high-waisted for some flamboyant gamines or gamines, because sometimes they can look too disproportionate, because their torso sometimes can look so short and their legs too elongated. So flamboyant gamines especially, they are slightly disproportionate. Normally their arms can be long and their legs can be short and their torso can be long. You just check what it does to your particular look. From my viewpoint, most of flamboyant gamines look best with regular waist, not lowered waist and not high-waisted, but regular waist. Soft gamines, high-waisted look amazing, looks a little bit 50s, and regular waist would look great too, also with higher heels. And also what they can add, if you go for full glam, especially if you're a flamboyant gamine, if you're going for full glam, go for platform shoes, or not pointed shoes and not thin heel, but slightly chunkier heel and slightly more blunt tip or rounded tip, or Mary Jane's, something like this. That can add that a little bit of that sense of humor in there, or that correct twist, so not to over glamorize yourself. Soft hair, crazy hair, or asymmetry in the hair would be great. If the hair is very long, sometimes it can create that, again, Disney princess or Disney mermaid kind of an effect. If you want to go for that, or you just making your hair slightly shorter. If you're going for that very traditional mama glam, as I call it, with longer hair, something like this, something like these ladies, soft dramatic. And that's probably the most often thing that I see, because flamboyant gamines, soft gamines, ladies, they of course are not aware sometimes that they are that type, and they go for that very traditional mama glam, longer hair, like something that is very, very trendy, or sleek hair, long hair, up to here, long elongated dress, classic bag, and everything is very classic and womanly sometimes. And that is just dragging them down, because their facial features, their body is a little bit more on a lighter side and more on a childish side sometimes, and it's more bright and flamboyant. So that is all whether dragging them down too much, or it accentuates their childishness and they look actually even younger than they are sometimes, as a contrast. So yeah, the remedy is simple. Just one or two elements you're doing slightly crazy. Even if they put their hair up there in a bun, it already lightens their look. It doesn't make it as heavy, as womanly. It makes them look slightly lighter, slightly more vivid, opens their face, opens their eyes, and they look animated right away. Alright, that's it. I hope that was interesting. Please subscribe to this channel, click the bell so not to miss all my videos. You can also subscribe on my Patreon, I'm gonna leave the link down below, or support me right here by clicking join and be my sponsor. It really supports me and my channel and helps me to keep doing this. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.